In this video, we strip the paint from the frame, prepare the frame, and then prime it. Stick around. Hi, I'm Francois from adventurebiketroop.com. We're busy with this KTM 250 EXC bike build. I'm not going to waste any time. Let's jump straight into preparing the frame for painting. So the frame was stripped with paint stripper by the previous owner, but it's mostly the orange outer paint coat that was stripped. Most of the primer was still there. So I've never used paint stripper before. This is nasty stuff. So obviously I used gloves and I had goggles on. So I applied the paint stripper quite thick in spots just to see what happens. And within seconds you can start see the paint peeling off.
Swimming against the tide, I wanna forget you, but you pull me in. I know this ocean is far.
And then I took a razor blade, gently scratched it off, and then as I had most of the stuff that was coming loose off, I sprayed it down with the fire hose. I don't have a high pressure hose, that would have worked much better. And then I went at it with a brass wire wheel, on different brass wheels on a normal cordless drill. And that seemed to get a lot of it off. And then you could see where you still had to go over it again. So after the first round, you can see quite a lot of that old paint and that grey primer came off. And the frame is almost bare, but there's a whole lot of nooks and crannies and small little crevices that still had some paint in it, which I had to somehow get out. So then I decided I am gonna remove the bearing races. So I smacked them out. First tried a piece of square tubing because I don't have a punch long enough, and then in the end I just used the old screwdriver and that came out pretty easily. So that was awesome, and then I could clean it out properly on the inside as well. And where the bearing races has to go in again, I must just remember to tape it off when I paint it. So after that, I repeated the process. Apply paint stripper. I went into those little holes where you could see some orange paint left, sprayed it down again, and then went at it with the wire wheel again. And so after 2 repeats of this process, it started to look pretty clean. So before we continue, if you want to support this build, there's a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page on the screen and in the description below. And if you donate more than $25, your name will go on the custom sticker kit that goes on the bike at the end. But the best way you can support is to just like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends that like bikes, and comment below and give me your advice. That is the biggest support that you can give me. So thank you and keep it coming. And then also I want to thank everyone that voted for the color of the bike. So far it was only votes for black frame and then 1 for pearl white. So about 6 or 7 have voted black, but you still have time to vote. I am going to paint it later this week. So in this video, now is your last chance to vote for the color. I don't think it's going to change from black, but if you want, please vote below what you think the best color for the frame would be. So the next step was, after I was happy that most of the paint was stripped off, I took some acetone and rags and I cleaned down the whole bike with the screwdriver. I went at small little spots and they came off fairly easily with the wire wheel as well. So at this stage I was happy that the frame was fine for painting. Then I left it in the sun for a bit to dry. Then I went at it with a normal, just a dry rag to get everything that I can off it. And now comes the problem. So with this next step, brace yourself. So some of you that don't have a lot of experience will think or will be super impressed that I painted the frame myself. Now paint is a weird business. It's a weird science, and if you Google it, there's a lot of conflicting advice out there. Should you use etch primer? Should you use MS primer? Should you use epoxy primer? What you can paint over what? Should you paint in the top coat within hours or within days, or should you sand it again? It's so difficult to find. So if you have advice on how to paint the frame, please comment below, because this is super useful advice for anyone out there that wants to do this themselves. But anyways, what I realized is after I cleaned the frame, surface rust begins almost immediately. So within a day you could see surface rust, and I didn't want to sand the whole frame again after a week, so I had to paint it So in the end, and this is where you will either be very impressed that I painted myself, or you will lose all respect for me. But please, if that is you, don't leave. Just comment below. Let me have it in the comments so that I can also learn. I could take it to a friend that has a spray gun. I don't have a spray gun or a compressor. But I want to do everything myself. I want to make the mistakes. If I have to repeat the whole cleaning process in a year's time, so be it. But I have to do it myself and learn from the experience. So please, your advice is super helpful. You can call me an idiot if you like. I won't be offended because I was probably one. But anyways, what happened is I do have a can of white self-etching primer that is supposed to go on bare metal. It's an acid-based primer that eats into the metal and bonds there and then forms a protective coating, and then that helps the top coat adhere to it. And I don't have a spray gun, so I do have an electric one, but I didn't want to use that. It creates a whole mess. So I took a brush and I painted on the etch primer. I didn't thin it at all, so it was quite a sticky business. And as I started, I realized this is probably a mistake, but I don't think it looks too bad if I look closely now. So that is what I did, and I've ordered some 2K primer to go on top of this to create a bond with the top coat, the 2K top coat, and that will be aerosol. So in the next video, hopefully we'll get to that. But please let me know what's your advice on how to paint the frame yourself without any professional equipment or spray guns. And then something else, because I was running out of daylight and I was running out of time, I didn't plug all the thread holes. I didn't thread in bolts because I don't have any hardware yet, and I don't have the old hardware. So I was a bit lazy, so I just painted and cleaned it up as best I could, and then afterwards I took a tap set and cleaned or chased the threads. I didn't have the right sizes for all the bolt holes, but anyways, I cleaned it up. I'm not too worried about that, and I will thread in some old bolts when I do the top coat. So yeah, I am aware of that, but please, like I said, let me have it in the comments. So anyways, I think it looks good. Let me know what you think. So that's it for this week. The frame was cleaned, it's primed, ready for the top coat. Please let me know if you have any questions. If there's stuff or detail that you want to see, please let me know in the comments. These videos are for you. I'm trying to keep it shorter and only one thing at a time. But please let me know. I'd love your feedback, and thank you for joining. I'll see you next week.